2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor sat down at his desk after a day filled with wars, betrayals, and the weight of an entire empire, and wrote in his journal, not to complain, not to vent, to quiet a mind that refused to stop. His name was Marcus Aurelius, and what he wrote was not philosophy for academics. It was a manual for anyone whose mind won't turn off at night. If you have ever found yourself lying in the dark, thoughts moving and moving and moving without stopping, in circles again and again, then this video is for you. Because the Stoics didn't just think about anxiety, they solved it, systematically, practically, once and for all. Before we talk about solutions, we need to look honestly at the problem. Anxiety is not a character flaw. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a mechanism, one that was passed down to us by ancestors who needed it to survive. Ancient humans felt anxiety and lived because of it. Their brains constantly scanned the horizon for threats. That was right. That saved lives. But you are not living in the savannah. Your threats are not predators. They are a conversation that went wrong, a decision that needs to be made, a future that cannot be predicted. And the brain still reacts the same way, as if your life depends on it. It enters search mode. It begins replaying the situation again and again, looking for a way out. But there is no way out, because the problem has no solution right now. And so it replays again and again. This is called rumination. And the harder you try to stop the thoughts, the tighter they hold. Because fighting a thought is still a thought. Epictetus wrote it this way: people are disturbed not by events, but by their judgments about events. Think about that. It is not the situation itself that creates anxiety. It is how you interpret it, what you think about it, what meaning you give it. And this changes everything, because the event cannot be changed, but the judgment can. Before moving to the practices, we need to lay the foundation without which nothing works. The Stoics divided the entire world into two parts: what is within your power and what is not within your power. Within your power, your thoughts, your decisions, your actions, your attitude toward what happens. Not within your power, the opinions of others, the past, the future, the actions of others, circumstances. Now, an honest question: what do you worry about most? What people will think of you? How a situation will unfold? What would have happened if things had gone differently back then? What will happen if? All of this is the second column, what is not within your power. And while you spend your energy on the second column, the first remains empty. You are not acting where you can. You are suffering where you are powerless. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself again and again, as a reminder: do not waste your strength on what is not yours to control. This is not indifference. This is precision. This is the ability to direct your energy where it actually matters. Remember this: everything else is built on this. First practice: physical interruption. The Stoics understood what neuroscience confirmed 2,000 years later. The mind and body are inseparable. When anxiety takes hold of the mind, it lives in the body too. Tense shoulders, shallow breathing, a clenched jaw, cold water on the face, a sharp exhale, physical movement. These are not folk remedies. This is a literal breaking of the loop. You change the signal in the body, and the brain receives a different command. Marcus Aurelius began each morning by reminding himself of the difficulties that might come, not to frighten himself, but so that his body and mind would be ready, not caught off guard. When anxiety comes, don't sit with it in your head. Move, breathe, interrupt it physically. Second practice: writing thoughts down. Marcus Aurelius kept his meditations not for readers, for himself. Each evening, thoughts onto paper. And there was deep meaning in this. While a thought spins in your head, the brain holds it open, unfinished. It cannot let it go because it fears losing it. The moment the thought is written down, it takes form. It is no longer fog. It is words on paper, concrete, bounded, manageable, and the brain releases it. Don't aim to write much. Write what exactly is troubling you, specifically, without vague words. The moment you put it into words, half the anxiety disappears on its own. Third practice, separation, mine and not mine. Take a sheet of paper, right now, when the anxiety is strong. Write 2 columns, what I can change, what I cannot change, and be honest. The opinion of others, not mine. The past, not mine. What has not yet happened, not mine. When you see this on paper, something clicks, because abstract anxiety becomes concrete, and concrete anxiety can be examined, worked with, or consciously released. Epictetus said, "If you want to be free, do not desire or avoid what depends on others." This is the boundary between suffering and peace. Fourth practice, naming what is happening. This sounds simple, but it is one of the most powerful practices. When anxiety takes over, say aloud or to yourself, "I am anxious right now. I notice anxiety. I see that my mind is creating stories about the future." Neuroscience confirms, naming an emotion reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's anxiety center, literally, physically. But the Stoics knew this intuitively. They called it stepping back, creating distance between yourself and your reactions. You are not the anxiety. You are the one who notices the anxiety. And that distance changes everything. Fifth practice, limit what comes in. Seneca wrote, "Withdraw from the crowd, withdraw from the few, withdraw even from one." He said this 2,000 years ago, before social media, before news feeds, before notifications every 5 minutes. Imagine what he would say now. Your brain was not built for this volume of information. The tragedies of others, the opinions of others, the conflicts of others. All of this creates background noise that accumulates unnoticed. And by evening you are anxious, not from your own problems, but from the day's accumulated mental noise. Remove the source, consciously, not forever, but enough for your mind to find silence. Silence is not emptiness. It is the space in which you finally hear yourself. Sixth practice, one action. Anxiety feeds on inaction. It grows in the gap between, "I know what needs to be done," and "I haven't done it yet." The Stoics were people of action. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire. Epictetus was a slave who became a philosopher. Seneca was an advisor to an emperor. All of them lived under real pressure, real uncertainty. And their answer was not more thinking, it was action. Not everything at once. One thing, right now. Send one message you have been putting off. Make one decision that has been hanging over you. Take one step, the smallest one possible. The brain receives the signal. There is movement. The loop breaks. Anxiety loses its ground. Marcus Aurelius lived his entire life under constant pressure. Wars, betrayals, loss, plague. And every evening, he sat down and wrote. Not because he was weak, but because he was wise. He knew a mind without discipline becomes a prison, but a mind that you govern becomes a tool. You can change your relationship with anxiety. Stop fearing it. Stop fighting it. Learn to use it as a signal and release everything else. This is what Stoicism is. Not coldness, not indifference. Clarity. Inside any storm. Try one practice today, just one, and watch what changes.